data. Hi, I'm Luanda Shields with Two Cute Classrooms, and this is my space for fellow teachers, homeschool moms, and homeschool dads. And today we're going to be talking about how we have data talks with our students or with our kids. Mainly for our students, because I think if we're homeschooling, we don't really have to look at data, but you might want to look at your students' performance, your child's performance on the work that you're giving them. The first thing we do when we're going to have data talks with our students is we go back and we look at last year's data or what the results were from the last test that they took. And we want to do this at the beginning of school. That way we're all fresh. They're fresh, you're fresh, and we're looking at how they performed before they came to you this year, or if you had them last year, then you want to know what they did so you know what you need to focus in on. Now, I was fortunate enough at the school where I came from that I got to loop my kids. That meant I had them for 2 years straight. I would teach 5th grade, and then I would have those same students again the next year for 6th grade. So I sort of had them an advantage because I knew my students knew me. We knew what to expect from one another, and I got to see how they performed in class in their 4th grade year and watch them as they matured and developed over the course of their 5th grade year as far as academics go and personally. And then when they got to 6th grade, I had a really good basis, or what do you want to call it? I had a really good background knowledge about them and their testing ability and where they were and where I needed them to be. So the first thing we do is we look at the data or data, if you want to call it, from previous years or the year before. And after we've looked at that data or data, we can then begin to formulate a plan of action that we're going to take as the teacher and how we're going to implement that plan. And we do all this before we call our students in. Once we have had a chance to look at our data, once we have come up with a plan, then we're ready to start having those data talks with our students. So I like to use like a checklist sheet where I have each student's name listed. I have where they started, and then with my goal, this is the sheet they don't get when it has my goal on there. But once I call them in, they see their name, they see where they are, and then we talk about what their goal is for themselves for the year, that I can express to them what my expectations are, and then we can set a goal, a joint goal of what they're going to accomplish this year. The next thing to do after you've had that conversation with your students, you both looked at the data, you talked about the data, you've discussed your expectations, and they've told you where they want to go, then the next thing you're going to do is make sure that throughout the year, you continue to have those data talks. You continue to talk about where they are and what their goals are. So that means after the first assessment that I call this child back up, we look at where they started, we look at where they are, and we looked at how close or how far off they are from reaching the goal that we set at the beginning. And we'll do this throughout the school year. Now, I'm not saying have data talks once a week, because that's going to cut into your class time. It's going to make things a little difficult for you and for them. It's going to get a little monotonous, boring, intimidating. Plus, let's be real, as teachers, our time is limited. And if you're really having data talks the way you're supposed to, then you wouldn't be able to have these once a week. So I'm going to say at least after each really big assessment that you would have data talks. Schedule it in on your calendar or add it to your plans that you're having data talks with your students, and make sure you have activities for your other students to do while you're having these data talks with the student that you called up. Again, this was Luanda Shields with Two Cute Classrooms. And we were here in my space for our homeschool moms, homeschool dads, and my fellow teachers. So be sure to look for me in the next video. Give this video a like, a thumbs up, follow, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.